It was so, it's so stressful, I can't even tell you. You can't pay the teachers.
Cindy went to the board and said, you know what, we're not gonna be able to make we're not gonna be able to make payroll. And, you know, like everybody like, whoa, what do you mean you're not gonna be able to?
They were gonna borrow $200,000 to get through the school year, sell the bonds, which had no security at all. You're broke. We couldn't pay the teachers. And by the time Lowell got that all put together, the bonds were all sold. You would think you would have trouble selling bonds because there's no security. It's just Nampa Christian, but by the time he got the paperwork put together, they were all sold.
During the 1980s, in addition to financial difficulties, the school also suffered the unexpected loss of loved ones. But God would remain faithful to the school and bring families closer to each other and provide comfort through the support shown to those families who lost loved ones. Times may have been tough, but the school focused its energy on advancing the threshold of quality academics. Nampa Christian raised its academic standards by adopting the Abeka curriculum. Nampa Christian increased its extracurricular activities with the addition of drama and female athletic teams. Nampa Christian had endured through a second grueling decade, and like the 60s, the zeal to support Nampa Christian in hard times would soon be rewarded with prosperous times during the 90s.
Somehow someone had an old plan of the building that it was originally supposed to be 2 wings on the elementary. And a few of us just stayed after and looked at that plan, and it just seemed like God was saying, this is the time, you can do this with my help right now.
The building trades community in this city and around the valley got into it. We had guys who cared about that and understood it was important. And they provided us with 2 houses built free gratis to us by various contractors and subcontractors and people, using that money to provide funds for facilities improvement and growth.
When we built the extra wing on the elementary is when our school really took off.
I saw in those 6 years a growth from 350 kids to 710. And during that time we saw the addition of the second gym.
And then we went to building, the classrooms behind the old gym.
Remodeled the bus garage into a music room. Remodeled the old shop into lunchroom, and then allowed us then to have more classrooms in the old high school building. The new bleachers in the football field. To do all that building with zero debt, no debt. And you try to tell people where I'd worked all that time that you can build buildings and have no debt, and they just, they can't understand that.
The rapid growth brought about the necessity to bring on more staff. God would provide in that aspect as well with the addition of several familiar individuals who still serve today.
When I was sitting there at my desk looking over applicants, having interviewed some, and the thought that went through my mind is, I don't understand how we can have so many good applicants with what we pay and what's going on, and almost audibly. Perhaps it was audibly, but probably not. God said to me, look, boy, this is not your business, this is my business. And that really was kind of a prelude to me for the years I was there, recognizing that God was in charge.
The number of interscholastic athletic championships increased during the 90s.
It was always so fun to go to the state tournaments and to the athletic events, because it was like we were one big family, and so we got to know the people very intimately, and that was rewarding, because we'd all go and have fun, and we'd all cheer on each other's kids.
Resulting from the revitalization of the 90s, the school continued to see such tremendous growth that the Orchard campus facilities were soon crowded. The NCS board had a vision to see yet another but God moment with the turn of the decade.
There's one thing I think that the Lord has done, because the salaries not only have kept up with, or not only tried to keep up with the salaries of other schools, but they've improved fantastically compared to what they were there. And I mean, it's gone way up. And I appreciate that. Not that I work for the money, but it's very nice to be able to have enough money to live on.
For me, the most rewarding part would be that we're able to make our own building payment with no extra donations out of the operating budget. We not only stop going down in students, but we're growing.
We knew that we had a solid support to build a new school, and we were really excited about the new school. We built it at a time the economy was clipping, but we had to finish 40% more of the school than we anticipated.
The timing of the campaign, and if you really want to see the Lord's hand in it, I mean, the economy was booming, land values are going up, people were selling property. That's when we started our capital campaign. An ideal time. If we would have started it a year and a half later, if we would have drug our feet and not got there, it'd have been a totally different ballgame. Because nobody would have thought, 2 years later that the economy is going to be in the dump and land's going to be worth about, 10% what it was.
With a recent increase in enrollment, God is continuing to work. However, we are faced with a balloon payment of $600,000 that is due soon.
So this investment to reduce our debt is really an investment in the future, so we can go on to our strategic plan of expanding the facilities in the new high school location, upgrading some of the buildings at the Orchard campus or the elementary campus. So we're excited about that 20-year plan, but we know our first step to implement that 20-year plan is working the debt down.
On the other side of every trial and every test, the Lord has opened the windows of heaven, pouring out His blessings on this school. We can look to the past and see that God has always gone before us, leading the way. Now is a time that God is proving to us again that we will be assured that He will continue to provide.
Our current debt is $6.85 million. We know that we have $1.5 million of a shorter term high interest debt. But we know the biggest ticket we're looking us right in the eyes is the $600,000 balloon payment that's due in the near future. That's what we have to be prepared to pay for.
Well, one thing I'm convinced of is if you're unwilling to give away money, you'll never have it. I don't know how it all works, but my theory is you should prepare to give. So if something like this comes up, you can give it cheerfully because you've set it aside and you had it ready and you were just waiting for God to give you the opportunity.
That's what this is about. We're in a but God moment that we know that this is beyond man's answer, but God will come through. I just believe that.
God has recently provided such an answer by sending several anonymous donors who have sacrificially committed to this need by matching dollar for dollar up to $1 million of your donations. If donors fill in the middle of the fundraising pyramid and we receive $580,000 of pledge commitments and $300,000 of pledge payments by June 1, the matching fund donors will provide $300,000 to achieve the first payment of $600,000. We have seen through the past 50 years how God has provided through significant but ordinary individuals. Will you prayerfully consider supporting Nampa Christian Schools in an ordinary but significant way?
We know that the grandchildren and the children at Nampa Christian School is going to be our future. They are going to be in control of things when Joyce and I aren't around if the Lord tarries.
Yeah, the teachers are really nice. They always kind of put it into a Christian perspective because they're trying to help you and they're trying to put it into a Christian way of how you learn.
I really like it here a lot better. Like at my old school, I never looked forward to going to school. I always looked forward to coming home, and I always looked forward to the weekends, and I would always be grumpy when the weekends were over because I didn't like school.
I like how supportive that we are in sports. We're always cheering each other on and always bringing each other up, and that's one of my favorite things about it.
The very first day I took my son there, I was sold on Nampa Christian. It was like, wow, this is the place to be.
Trust in the Lord, commit to the Christian education, and the Lord will provide. You don't always know how. The parents who didn't send their kids to Christian education had no more money than the parents who did. It's not like, well, if I didn't pay that tuition, I would have $10,000 extra. Because the Lord only provided what you needed when you made that commitment, the Lord provided a way to pay for it, and if you didn't make the commitment, He didn't give you the extra money either.
I think there's been so many faculty, staff, parents, families that have sacrificially supported Nampa Christian Schools.
Because so many have served unselfishly to make the future brighter, it is hard to make an attempt to recognize each one. So please accept this thank you from those that are most touched by your sacrifices.